Trojan family, what's going on? Welcome back to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud, live from the Dyrud Dojo here on USC's campus as we have wrapped up spring practice number 7. It is the final spring practice now heading into spring break as all the student athletes and all the students at USC's campus now will embark on a week off. Man, remember those days in college, spring break? What a blast. Back when travel, go to the beach, wherever, back when we were all in college. But so a week off now. So today was the final practice leading up to that. They'll be back for 2 more weeks after next week. So practice is not done, just a nice little break in between to kind of get the mentals right, get the bodies right, and then hit it hard on the back half of the schedule. Today, we were allowed to watch the entirety of practice. Now, we are not allowed to report on anything past the observation period that we usually have. So there's not any other intel, unfortunately, that I can share with you. But it was a blast to be out there, an honor to be out there. Great to see all the visitors. There was an entire high school football team that came out. Obviously, all the recruits that have been visiting that we talked about last night. So can't really report on anything, but a good overall practice, a non-padded practice today. So not as intense as probably the previous ones that were fully padded, but a great day out there nonetheless. So I thought today, with us wrapping up the first half, I would just do my really key takeaways from the first 2 weeks of spring when looking at position battles, when looking at potential standout players, any injury concerns, anything like that. So this will be more of an overhaul recap of the entirety of spring, not just today. Figured that'd be a good kind of bookmark as we head into spring break. So remember quickly, USC LAFB brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Check out FanDuel Sportsbook. I believe they just came out with their win totals for college football teams, and USC sits at 8.5 right now, over under 8.5 wins for the season. What say you on that? We'll certainly do a full breakdown on the USC projected schedule, or we know their schedule, but projected win totals, and we'll kind of tie FanDuel into that. But I believe right now it sits at 8.5, which obviously need to hit that over if USC hopes to make the playoffs. So that's kind of where they sit there. So check it out, FanDuel Sportsbook. But let's get into it, right? Hot day, as you all know that live here in SoCal. Those of you not in Southern California, it is a heat wave here in March. Definitely not winter temperatures. But hey, can't complain, right? Beautiful out, sunshine out, get some great weather, get some football in the air. So let's start offensively with some of the key takeaways. And I'm kind of going to just go position group by position group here. Let's start with the receivers. Now, we've talked a ton about the talented pass catchers, and I think that is the takeaway. And I'll lump in the receivers and tight ends. Extremely talented rooms when you look at the pass catching. I think there's some talented blockers in there as well, which obviously that's just kind of my sense and what we hear. We're not really seeing that in individual drills, but I think some guys returning, certainly Tucker Ashcraft transferring over. He's a great blocker. I think there's going to be good intentional blocking in the run game from this group, but certainly the takeaway is this is just a loaded room when it comes to pass catchers. We've talked about all the usual suspects. We haven't really talked about Mark Bowman, and he was like the prize jewel of this 26 class when you look at being a 5-star number 1 tight end. And we really haven't talked a ton about him. So that just shows how loaded the group is. We've talked a lot about Caden Dixon-Wyatt, Trent Mosley, even Luke Weaver, Tron Baker, maybe we haven't talked a lot about. He's looking like one of the smoothest, most polished route runners and receivers that we've seen out here. So talented group. It's still a group, though, with questions, just because there's going to be so much newness. How quickly can they get truly on the same page with Jaden Mayava? And because we haven't seen any team drills or any of that kind of action, it's more just, running against air, that we won't have the answers to until potentially seeing some in the fall and certainly then in week 1. So that's going to be the biggest question answered is how's the chemistry? And that's ultimately going to decide starters 1 through 3. I think the talent discrepancy is not far off. Like, it would not shock me at all if you have 7 different guys that could start, and they're all going to get reps at some point. But like those combos, I think we all have kind of penciled in Chinook, Caden Dixon-Wyatt, or Boobie Feaster, and then Zacharias Williams or Trent Mosley. That's kind of how we all have penciled it in. But it would not shock me if Luke Weaver ends up being one of the leading pass catchers. It would not shock me at all if Tron Baker makes a run. We haven't even talked about Roderick Tizino, who's going to be here in the summer as well. So who's going to have the chemistry? I don't think talent's going to be an issue. It's going to be chemistry, and then obviously in situational football, who has the knowledge being more new, they can kind of get up to speed quicker. So talented group. And I didn't mention Terrell Anderson. He's actually the other one, probably more penciled in next to Tanuk Hines. So like Tanuk Hines, Terrell Anderson, the transfer, and then you got your slot guys, either Williams or Mosley. But then where do Feaster and KDW fit in? I mean, it's a loaded room. So excitement there for sure, but question marks of who will actually start, which we got plenty of time to figure that out. Looking at the running backs, this was I didn't really think about this until today. This is, to my knowledge, the first time in the Lincoln Riley era where from starter to fifth running back, it is all homegrown recruits. No transfer portal running backs. Every year, now he's recruited really well at running back, but the starters have almost always been transfer portal guys. When you look at Woody Marks, when you look at Marshawn Lloyd, when you look at Troy Dye, go down the list. I mean, they've all been portal guys, and then you've had recruits that have been backups, and then they end up kind of transferring out. This is the first time 1 through 5, it is all homegrown talent recruits. Wayman Jordan, a lot of people will kind of think that as a transfer portal, but no, that's technically a recruit coming from the JUCO ranks. He didn't transfer from a D1 school. King Miller walk-on, Riley Wormley, recruit last year, redshirt freshman, and then obviously the two freshmen, Sean Alston and Deshaun Rideau. So just kind of a fun little tidbit that I hadn't really thought of till, but first time that's really happening here in the Lincoln Riley era. But tons of talent there, loaded room, tons of depth. Riley Wormley is probably one of my standout players so far through 2 weeks. Again, take this all with a grain of salt. It's not like we're watching the team drills or whatever, but he has looked really good, really crisp. His pass catching ability certainly is going to make him an option to be on the field when maybe other backs would not be. He's really good at pass catching. We even saw that last year a little bit when he ran some wheel routes late in the season after he finally got healthy. So look out for Riley Wormley to be that guy that kind of sneaks in and kind of makes some noise here and there in this offense. Don't need to talk much about the quarterbacks. We know Jaden Mava, he looks smooth. Jonas Williams, I've talked about him, looks wise beyond his years. His size is certainly, I think, more promising than even we were led on to believe when he's coming out of high school. So he's looked really good as well. Offensive line. I believe this might be the deepest, most talented offensive line group that Lincoln Riley has ever had. And I'm talking dating back to Oklahoma. Now, this was my summation today at practice. I haven't deep dived into every single one of his Oklahoma teams. Obviously, multiple college football playoff team, multiple top end draft picks out of the offensive line for that team. So I haven't looked from top to bottom. So any Sooner fans out there, if you're still watch our shows, which you're used to a lot, you can certainly correct me. But this is definitely the deepest and most talented offensive line he has had here at USC. I mean, it is one of those, you have 5 returning starters and you could potentially have 3 new starters this year just because that's how good the talent is. I'm not saying a knock on who's returning as a starter, but that's how good some of the guys are that are coming in. And because, as I've talked about a ton, so I won't belabor it, but because Killian O'Connor and Justin Tawanu'u and others have had to miss a lot of spring and will miss ultimately all of spring, that's given a lot of reps to other guys. So it's a very talented room. It's a very deep room, which is very good to hear if you're a USC fan, because last year with all the injuries, with all the combinations, it was a unit that played really well, but there was still lapses because when you're going to your third option at guard, there's going to be a drop off. Well, this year, it doesn't feel like there will be that much of a drop off. Again, take it for a grain of salt, but I think most of the team and coaches would tell you that as well. Defensive line, stout. We've talked a lot about both tackles and edges. For me, my takeaway is not just how deep it is, but I'm really curious to see who's going to be the Floyd Boucard this year of this group, including edges. Who will be that guy that was like, Not saying it has to be a freshman either, but like Floyd Bacard, remember, 3-star recruit, really wasn't a lot of expectations for him coming into the season. And all of a sudden, after Jakeem Stewart, he was like one of the top young defensive linemen. So who's going to be that this year in this group, if there's even that opportunity? Because when you look at the totality of the depth, there's about 8 guys right now that I have penciled in to play meaningful snaps. You have obviously Van Sumeren, the transfer. When you look at the D tackle room, you have Jakeem Stewart, you have Floyd Bacard. Those are kind of your incumbent guys in that defensive tackle room. Then on the edges, you got Braylon Shelby, you got Cameron Crawford, and then you got Jade Abasari, who we've talked about, played tackle last year. They've had him in the edge room, so I see him now kind of as a rover. So there's your 6 really incumbents. I think it's pretty obvious to everyone out there that Luke Wafel and Jamian Winfield are both going to get a lot of reps as true freshmen. There's 8 guys right there. Only 4 spots. So already really deep right there with talent. And it's not just a mirage. It's not just hey, this guy transferred from the SEC. Could he be really good? Hey, this guy's got really good size. We could see him being good. Like outside of the freshmen that, obviously do need to prove themselves, the other 6 have all proven themselves really well, either with this team or Van Sumeren with Michigan State in the Big Ten. So 6 proven guys, 2 hotshot freshmen, and then who's going to be that other? Who might be that Floyd Bacard of this year? That's what I cannot wait to see.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Linebackers, hardest to evaluate, just going against air, going against trash can dummies. But the footwork and the decision making and how they're doing drills certainly feels different, at least from what we can see this year. So Des Steven and Jaden Walker right now, just based on how they line things up, your clear starters. I think Elijah Newby has made a real jump forward. You look at his size that he's gotten there, and he's a guy that I expect to see some big reps from. And then obviously Talanoa Ely, the talented freshman, will eventually get reps in there. It just depends how long it will take him to get fully up to speed, which I don't see it taking long. And then just as I expected when he transferred, Devin Bryant is going to be a stout run defender. I think, like I said, Walker, Stevens, your starters, but on certain absolute running situations, we will see Bryant on the field because he is stout against the run. And even in these indie drills, you can kind of tell that from the types of drills they're doing, from gap integrity, from where their eyes are when they're watching the ball carry. Those are things you can all kind of look for. You can see Mike Eckler absolutely emphasizing that. And so we're seeing some good stuff from the backers. On the secondary, here's my biggest takeaway. Because of the injuries, and again, none of them serious, but because all the assumed starters outside of Kennedy Urlacher have missed, or I shouldn't say all of, but basically 3 of the 5 starting spots. When you look at Jontez Williams, when you look at Christian Pierce, and then when you look at Chasen Johnson missing all of spring, that has given a ton of opportunity for everyone else in both of these rooms. I think we're going to see some, I don't want to call it flip-flopping, but there's a couple guys that we'll kind of see rove between the corner room and the safety room. So I think that'll be really interesting to see. Treston Castro was listed as a corner. He was doing more work with safeties today and has been through camp. We've seen that kind of rotation of guys a little bit, so where they ultimately fit the best. And obviously guys that play nickel like Alex Graham, like Prophet Brown, kind of do work with both and get coached by both, read by Coach Gonzalez and by Sam Carter, who's more of your Nichols coach overall. And so they're going to be kind of those rovers. So um, deep, talented room. Right now, it's hard to say just because of the presumed starters are not out there. So who's going to elevate? But we've seen a lot of these young kids look really good. A lot of the footwork looking really good. The transitional defense looking good. The eyes on the ball looking good. So, a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. Overall takeaways, because as we just rattled off all the positions, overall takeaways, and it's going to be mostly defensive takeaways just because those are the new coaches. I think Mike Eckler, Paul Gonzalez, Sam Carter, look like home run hires. Again, we got to see it on the field. I know I get excited. All of you get excited. We're talking indie drills in spring, but you can tell the level of details that these guys are coaching. Obviously, the guys still being there, Sean Nua, Trevon Reed, not saying they're not doing this, but watching specifically the new coaches, you can just see the difference in their level of detail and just style of coaching. Let's put it that. Just a different style of coaching. And these are guys that have been collegiate coaches for a long time. There is sometimes a difference between college coaching, pro coaching, high school, all the different levels. And when you look at Paul Gonzalez, 16 plus years coaching college, when you look at Mike Eckler, 30 plus years coaching college, that speaks volumes in how they coach the college game, which leads me to Gary Patterson. And this is probably the biggest takeaway of all of camp. Like, you can just see his love for football. This dude absolutely loves football. Like, we even joked after, all right, enjoy your time off. And he's like, I'm heading straight to the film room. There's no time off. I'm working all week. So, and as you expect, maybe as a coach, but like he just straight loves it. You can tell he is so thrilled to be back in the game. I was talking with someone during practice, like, and again, this is not a knock on Dan Lynn, but I don't remember seeing him very often during media availability. Like, he was obviously out there. Don't want anyone misinterpreting that, but he to me was more of a guy that was very involved, probably in whiteboard sessions, film room sessions, and then on the field, kind of let his position groups run things again from what we could see, and then he would be the overarching kind of tie it all together. When you hear the term like, I want a CEO of the defense, which was something that came out that Lincoln Riley wanted a CEO of the defense, came out also about, Steve Sarkisian in Texas, why they moved on from Kwiatkowski and they went with Will Muschamp, excuse me. That came out too. I wanted a CEO of the defense. Gary Patterson obviously was a head coach for 20 plus years. Like, he knows how to be a CEO. He is very clearly the CEO of the defense. He is going to every single position group every day, coaching, directing, coaching his coaches on things that he wants to see the drill run out a specific way. He's all over the place. He's not just standing off kind of watching. Lincoln Riley is doing the same thing. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. He's involved in special teams. He's at each position group, defense included, kind of overseeing everything, stepping in, coaching certain things here and there. But Gary Patterson has a very clear intent in how he coaches and how he teaches. And it is that absolute CEO of the defense kind of putting it all together, making sure all of his coaches are on the same page and all of his players from safeties to defensive tackles are knowing exactly what they want to do in order for them to be successful. So biggest takeaway is, in the middle of March, to me, Gary Patterson looks like a home run hire. Just from what I can see in the way he conducts himself, leads practices, and has these coaches and players detailing things, it just looks like a home run hire. So we'll see it come to fruition here in a few months, but things are definitely looking good. The program is feeling good. The vibes are high here at USC at a beautiful sunny day. So that will do it from the Daru Dojo. I appreciate you, family. I've been seeing not only your comments, but seeing some of you on campus around that shout out. I absolutely love that. I absolutely appreciate it. It means the world to me. All you guys that hang out with me and want to listen to me talk for 18 minutes in my car, like, I'm thrilled. I'm tickled that all you guys enjoy this. So I truly do appreciate it. Well, just because USC is off doesn't mean I'm off. So we'll have plenty of content all week long. A lot more recruiting updates. Obviously, we have Honor Fa'alave Johnson announcing tomorrow, so you can expect me on tomorrow. However that goes down, should be USC, but we'll see when it's official. We got Danny Lang next week announcing, also a heavy lean to USC. plus some recruits there sprinkled in. Drew Fielder was here again today. I mentioned it last night in my recruiting video. He was here again today. Oregon recruit, Servite offensive lineman, so local kid. We'll see if USC continues to kind of work that, see if they can get a flip going there. You had Gavin Williams, four-star safety, was officially here today. Saw him. So we'll get more into recruiting. That'll kind of probably be the heavy basis throughout this week. Maybe some projections, maybe some looking to the future. So appreciate you, family. Hit that like and subscribe. Talk to you all very soon. As always, fight on.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.